Hi, I'm John Marshall, Managing Director of Peak Performance Coaching, and welcome to Crushing It. This is where we celebrate people doing extraordinary things in these unprecedented times. And today our guest is Pastor Midstead from St. James, Long Island, New York. And I did an interview with him earlier this morning on Zoom, and we're going to share what they're doing in their neighborhood that is a form of crushing it. And here's our interview. Well, I'm here this morning with Pastor Neil Midstead from St. Jacobs, Long Island, New York. Hey, Pastor, how are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic.
It's interesting that you called it St. which is the Hebrew name. We normally call it St. James.
Oh, St. James, my apology. I don't know why I have St. Jacobs in my head, but...
James in the Bible, same name.
Fantastic. Well, we've known each other for close to probably 20 years. If you think about it, it's been a long time, and there's been a lot of trials and tribulations. We've tried to get out into the community to do things that are quite often quite different than someone might expect a church to do. And I think if we look at your track record over the years and some of the mission work from doing farmers markets in your parking lot to young family activities, you've done some amazing things. But what we want to talk about today, what Crushing is all about, is talking about the extraordinary things people are doing within the pandemic. And you were sharing with me a week or so ago that in facing the challenge that you felt parents were dealing with, we're in the preschool area, and the issues that were coming from that, and what you guys decide to do with your church in order to help out your community and keep the doors going for them. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what happened and what you had to do to make this an extraordinary thing?
Yeah, well, we have a good-sized preschool, 110 kids, actually 108 kids, and it's a very loving thing and a very popular and very, very important to just family after family that comes through. It also, it's a tremendous doorway into our church. Well, with the pandemic, schools are closing. We actually had to close our school. Everything was closed. And then the question became, when September comes, will we reopen? And we had to make some, we did. We have reopened with tremendous success. We have the fullest enrollment we've ever had. And we had to make a prior decision to say, this is the most effective outreach that we have as a church by far. There's lots of other things we do that are fun. Like you mentioned, the farmers market, a lot of fun. In terms of actually seeing results, if you want to call results, nothing comes close to the preschool. So we had to say, we are going to do this. And what do we have to do? And we brainstormed. Do we have to buy tents and set them up? Do we have to unscrew the pews? Because we needed to increase the floor plan. The preschool normally uses about a third of our church's floor plan. But we had to get those kids farther apart. The classrooms had to be. So
it's currently, I think you told me it's using almost 100% of your floor plan now.
Yes, it is. We didn't end up unbolting the pews, although the kids do go up there. But we certainly doubled the space of the church, and that meant other programs had to go. There's a number of community groups that use our church. God bless them. They're great. We care about them, but they aren't the core business of our church. They actually aren't our church. We just do that as a service, and we had to say, we're doing everything to have this preschool reopen. Crucial to this was our preschool director, who will do anything and is both. We care about the health of people. We don't actually want to make kids and families sick, but we also know that this school is just super important to the lives of these families.
So tell me about that, because really, because not necessarily are all these families churchgoers or members of your church.
Most are not.
But in your community, it's a bedroom community, right? Most of the people, the majority of the people will be traveling into New York or so. So what was? I just remember you're worrying about this when we first were talking before all the decisions were made, and you were expressing we got to be able to take this, help these families out in this way.
Yeah. So, so having said we are going to reopen, um, what has to happen? And we put all kinds of options on the table. I've described a few of them. And in the end, we didn't have to do things quite as dramatically as we said. Although, talking about the dramatic options kind of softened up everybody else at the church. Churches tend to be fairly conservative places. When they realized, oh, they're not going to do the most dramatic thing, so we're going to do a less dramatic thing, but still radical. Everybody's open to it. So, like taking over the entire parish, doubling our space. So, we put a plan together where we put up barriers and partitions. We had to spend money. We put in fans in all the windows to keep the air circulating through. We made a decision not to put masks on these little kids, but the teachers would wear masks. And with these kinds of decisions, and some of these things cost a lot of money. We have, to clean the place. We had to clean a lot more. We bought these ultraviolet things that they're using on the subways in New York City, so that between sessions we turn on these ultraviolet lights. They're germ burners, and all this kind of stuff. Parents are not allowed in the building. The kids go out to pick them up. All these protocols. We put all this together. And with that, we opened. By the way, one thing we had to do as well, we said, how are we going to pay for all this extra stuff? We went to the families and said, we want to reopen. You want us to reopen. We'd like to charge another $250 a year, like a COVID-19 surcharge to pay for all the equipment and cleaning you can see. And people have gladly said yes.
Well, that is great. I love the fact, so many people, you told me just a moments ago before we started recording this, that indeed one of the preschool care centers in the community just shut down and it didn't reopen. They just said, we can't, we're not going to deal with this.
Few miles from here, because we were talking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Everybody's going through this. There's a point where you actually do not know what's going to happen. But in the context of a preschool, a large one, a few miles from here, they closed down. And the story we heard was, it wasn't a church one, it was privately run. The lady there running it, owner operator, had receiving so many complaints, so much fussiness and just constant, customer pressure from the families that she just said, I've been doing this for years. I don't need the money. I'm done. She just closed shop. Yeah. And
a lot of people, it's one of the choices people have done during this time, right?
Yeah, I have a friend, a pastor friend in another part of New York State. Great guy, great church. I also have a preschool. Their preschool director, God bless her, but she was very nervous and fearful about COVID-19. And that's not wrong. But because she's a linchpin in their whole operation, and because she was so fearful, they just had to close their school. And which makes me thankful for our preschool director, Meredith Johansson. She is not irresponsible, but she is like, let's get her done. What do we have to do? We're not ready to give up like that. And that's all the difference.
And I love that. So
very much my role has been to really support good people in doing whatever they had to do.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's what it takes to do great things in hard times, in uncertain times. It's coming together with great vision, great passion, good people, staying with it, being flexible, and getting out of the box and doing what's necessary to serve your community. And that's what we're celebrating today. So Neil, I'd like to thank you for being with us. I appreciate you sharing your story. I hope the preschool continues to grow, thrive, and stay healthy. And I know you've got a Christmas story you want to tell me, so we're going to have you back just after your Thanksgiving and talk about what your plans are to crush it at Christmas. So it's good to see you, and we'll talk to you real soon. God bless.
Good to see you, John.